Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Gears of War 4 on the PC on Inconceivable difficulty. This is my guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Act 2-1. It is entitled The Prodigal Son. So the title doesn't make too much sense because if you understand what the parable of Jesus is from the book of Luke called the Prodigal Son, you'd understand that it's used kind of just as a title in this chapter without much of an accurate allusion, but because it doesn't seem like this character is too wanton or lavish, but that's what the prodigal son was in the parable itself. But you're probably not here to have a summary of what that parable is. You're probably here for some strategies of how to defeat this pretty tough chapter, which is just this one fight. And even though I say it's just this one fight, it is a long fight. And at the point that you think you would normally get a checkpoint, you don't get one. So at long last, we can finally have access to the Lancer. We haven't had access to the Lancer since the prologue. It's been, like I said, we've been teased by it. We were teased by it at first. You're going to have your pick of just as many Lancers as you want in the next chapter. I'm talking about the custom standard Lancer. But if you want to have it now, you're going to have to switch weapons with Marcus. Marcus is right to the right. I'm going to switch over and grab his Lancer and be good to go. I'm going to have the Marxa. I think I'm going to have the Marxa and the Lancer. So in this game, you can have both Lancers. In the other Gears of War, the ones at least that had the Retro Lancer, you could only have your pick of one or the other. In this game, you can have both selected if you so desire. So in the next chapter, I'm gonna show you guys a little bit more about going into cover and crouching when it's necessary to do so. Crouching is done when you're in cover and you click in the left stick. You can crouch and make yourself less of a vulnerable target. It's not particularly helpful where we're standing, but it can be very helpful. And I think the only other thing aside from spotting that I haven't mentioned too much is the whole weapon switching mechanic, which I just did with Marcus, so that I gave him a weapon that I didn't want, and I picked up the weapon that I desired. Now standing back here is pretty safe. I've only had about one occasion where one of the enemies has come back literally like where I am. Normally they don't. Normally you can pick off the sniper on the balcony up there from relative safety over here. And I say relative because you can and often will get one-shotted by this guy if you challenge him too much and if you don't back off. And that's not unique to this difficulty either. You get one-shotted on insane difficulty just as much as you do on Inconceivable. Now, this whole notion about the enemies having less damage, I don't think that that's accurate. Just from personal experience, I mean, they might have like, and I'm just going with my gut, guys. I don't know the technical details. Oh, Kate also has an M bar too. If you want to switch with her, it's just difficult over here to switch with anybody because of the potential to get one-shotted, since weapon switching can take a few moments. Anybody with an M bar over here can put you down instantly. So if you're trying to switch weapons, most of my deaths over here did occur because I was trying to go out of my way to switch weapons, and I could have just waited, but I really love the Lancer. I'm very comfortable with the timing of its active reload, and I just want it. I want it, and now I have it. And now you can get inside the manor, but you don't get a checkpoint over here, and you've got a situation where see, she's got the M bar, and you could pick up all the M bars over here that the two enemies had. Should be a couple over here for yourself, and then your teammates are going to be waiting by the back door over here. and you're gonna have to use the aiming over the left shoulder trick to be effective over here. Observe how this door that I'm standing in front of, as I try to push myself up against it, it makes me roll up against it. So that tells me that's not a piece of cover that they've programmed into the game, which is a bit of a shame. But it doesn't matter because you can just push yourself up against different pieces of cover, and then just make your way in here. See how handy this is? I mean, if you couldn't do what I just did there, you would have to sprint into the room, risk getting killed, and then hide behind the desk. And believe me, I've got killed crouching behind that desk to the left, so it's not very safe. So right there, I've got killed there from enemies, enemies that were on the landing where my teammates are now, just a little bit above me. But you've got to be careful over here, guys, because these guys are at real close range. They've got enforcers. They might even have M-bars, so you've got to be really careful. Really, really careful. In fact, I think he had an M-bar. Oh, and that X that appears within your reticle, what I think it is that the game... and here Kate's doing a really good job of meleeing, killing an enemy. Also, you don't get a checkpoint over here too, so you got to be careful. I wouldn't... yeah, that guy had an M-bar. That's dangerous over here, like at close range. This area too, very dangerous. You don't want enemies to rush you. Yeah. Once you get the Lancer, why the fuck would you ever want the Enforcer? Like, the Enforcer and the Shock Enforcer are some of the most boring guns in this game. I think the Hammer Burst is more interesting than the Enforcers. But just be careful because you don't want to get killed by these guys. So if you have to, back off. You know, if you think they're going to come close to you and potentially... Oh, fuck. See that? I didn't... That's the nice thing about the Lancer. You know? But the thing about the Lancer too is that any bullet or anything that enemies can do to you to make you flinch or stagger causes you to lower the chainsaw, and it then prohibits you from using it, which can result almost 100% of the time, unless you dodge away, and you getting killed. But those other times, it saves your life. So go figure. But again, the handiness of the Lancer to do those types of kills is just it's indispensable. Take care.